on the streets of Long Beach, Los Angeles. It is another round in the ABN Champ Car World Series. We come down to the 5th round on the 9th of April here, watching the last 5 minutes of practice at Long Beach, and it's, as always, a classic track. Tugs at your heartstrings, and you love the emotion, the history, and the intense racing over these city streets. Liv Tyler here. Liv Tyler with Rick James. I'm Rick James. Liv Tyler's beside me, here to enjoy all of this racing. Liv, welcome to Los Angeles.
Thank you. It's Liv Hayward, but thank you.
Oh, you Liv Tyler? That's the actress, isn't it? Liv Hayward. You know what? That's okay. Sorry to Liv Tyler, sorry to Liv Hayward. But anyway, Liv Hayward, welcome to LA.
Hell, we have made the mistake of calling Trade Forsyth Bruce Forsyth once or twice in the booth in the past. But it's great to be here, and I love this circuit so much. Ignoring the last corner, very tricky section there. Unfortunately, the drivers will have to deal with it for most of the start of the race, because it is our traditional Champ Car standing start here on our second of the season. And these drivers, or no, third of the season, and these drivers have a lot to manage throughout the course of the race, and a qualifying position to be important, but especially getting that qualifying position and converting it into turn one is going to be absolutely crucial in performing well at this racetrack. We are just down into the final 2.5 minutes of qualifying, and would you look who is top of the board, 1 and 2? Some familiar faces there.
Nick Pressey, Tucker Sawyer, 1 and 2 on the tree. Liv, you mentioned that final corner. Liv Pelletier-Sharp just came off that final corner. She's going down that front straight. Let's talk about the racetrack. Take us through a lap around Long Beach.
Absolutely. So coming to turn one, you break about the 400 board. Be very careful to not catch too much of that curb. Throw it in, be confident to go out to the wall. Down to second gear, and then first gear through the fountain. Stay out of the curbs, stay out of the dirt. And then second gear through here. Again, avoid the curbs, but then take a huge amount of this. You can hop all the way over that if you're brave enough. Just keep the wheel straight and keep it planted on the rear on the exit. Brake just after the 300 here. Down to second gear once again. You can use a lot of track on the exit, maybe not that much, and get it gathered back up on the way down towards turn number 8. Let's follow Colin McDonough, who also struggles through that one. Let's go to our Season 2 champion, Christina Ryan, who's got a little bit of slipstream. No, yes, that's it. Here we go. Let's follow on board with Christina Ryan, of course, very accomplished driver. 5 wins, 4 pole positions, one of which came on these very streets in Season 2. And here we go, turn 8. You can go all the way to the wall here. No track limits in effect. Be careful, because those tyre barriers jut out as they do on the exit of a lot of these corners. And down into turn 9 here, brake after the 400, get it thrown in. You can go out wide, but you've got to hook it back around. Stay really tight here on exit, but you need to open up and put full lock, hand over hand, you see there. Get it pointed straight, and then onto the power with some push pass if you like. And that is finally a lap of Long Beach.
25 and counting in this practice session. Nick Pressey still top of the tree, and then we go to a 15-minute open qualifying session. Now, Liv, you know this is my first year watching the Champ Car Series, so I don't know what to expect from a street circuit, and I don't know what to expect as far as qualifying time goes. We're still watching Christina Ryan, who's having a bit of a difficult time grinding around the racetrack here. Eli Sasick in the number 9 goes around the fountain as the checkered flag waves. Christina Ryan is on her final lap as well. Sean Kirby, the rookie, in the number 37. He will end his practice session. And now 15 minutes of open qualifying begins. Liv, I pose the question to you. Who should we expect at the top?
I mean, we saw Sawyer take the first pole position on the road courses at Sebring. We saw Pressey respond in dramatic fashion at Barber. Both drivers have already beaten what my pole prediction was, which was a 107.3. Both drivers just about dipped into the 107.2s. So it's going to be one of those two, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to say for this one, I'm going to give it to Tucker Sawyer. I think he's going to manage this. But as always in Champ Car Road qualifying, if you tow back to pit lane, that is your session done. You have to sit with whatever time you have. So it's very important that you get a good banter lap in through these first runs and keep it, as it's always difficult around here, out of those walls. Oh, and immediately around is, I believe that was Bryce Sosa behind. Just about, though. Does that wing stay in one piece? No, and
well, he's towing back to the pit lane
done.
here. He's done. And I'm seeing he's coming back out of the pits.
Bryce, listen to me. He took.
So this is something I've never seen. Liv, he's left the pits. Now, if we go back to that replay, you're going to see that there was contact made with the rear wing. Now, where exactly is the line in the rule? He towed back to the pits, so whether he got damage or not, he wasn't permitted to leave. Is that right?
That is correct. That is the rule. It's fairly standard for ABN in these open sessions to try and put a bit of drama, ultimately, onto the session.
So now another question for you.
Turn one here.
Let's talk. While we watch Nick Pressey, I want to talk about Bryce Sosa here. What's going to happen? What sort of penalty is going to be levied on the 07? Well, and Sosa looks like he's going to go into the runoff area. I apologize. Go ahead.
I believe it would be a drive-through penalty to serve at the next round of the season. At least that seems to be precedent. But of course, let's focus on who we think could be one of our pole sitters, but worth mentioning, and this is another rule of Champ Car qualifying that you would not be used to from the standard series, as Pressey has a bit of a traffic here to deal with, and this is going to hurt his first lap. Well, go to the tyre compounds, because the compound you set your fastest lap on will be what you start the race on. So Pressey gets unleashed now to complete his first lap and to get a proper clean run in. He seems to want to start on the primaries, as does Tucker Sawyer behind only, I think, 5 drivers on the alternates right now. We'll see who responds. Christina Ryan on the alternates goes 2 seconds faster, gets the first 107 on the board in qualifying. Pressey did catch the wall there, but kept the front wing, it seems like. And you can see how important those alternate tyres are. 1.8 seconds on those Waiuli green sidewalls, special for street circuits, compared to the rest of the field, as George Wood is even faster on them.
Okay, so these green sidewalls, now you got to explain this to me. What's the difference between these green ones here? And for the rest of us that don't know, I really hope I'm not the only one that doesn't know about these green tires, but what makes them so special?
So in iRacing, the sidewalls are a different color. And that's about it. They're the same alternates that we know and love. They have great one-lap pace. They're wicked fast, but they are going to hurt as you get later in a stint, which on our short tabs might not be too much of a problem, but something to keep in mind for sure. But,
are they any softer than, just a regular red?
I'm not sure about in the sim. The reason they're green is because they are, well, they're green in terms of the environment, and they're green in terms of origin. They come from cactus rubber that is grown out in the desert and is a lot more environmentally friendly than the typical rubber compounds that are used for the tires, and for street circuits especially, where I think maybe slightly lower loads can be gotten away with. They are used as a showcase of what IndyCar and what Firestone can do to get these cars around the racetrack. Sheena Ryan goes faster on lap 2 now, down to a 7.6. This is pretty typical for Long Beach. Normally these are one-lap tyres and they'll really fall off by the end of the second lap. But here, they take a little bit longer to fire up, and a little bit will last a bit longer with how short the lap time is. As that's a car with a broken rear wing pulling into the pit lane there. Sheena Ryan, does she improve again on lap number 3? Or are those tyres, I think they're done. I think she'll pull back down at the end of this time by to get a fresh set on. And I'm curious to see, as Nicholas Pressey does come on an outlap here, and has decided that those primaries weren't working. it's not worth the potential strategy advantage on the race start, although I think you'd want to start on the alternates anyway, but Pressy will be starting on the alternates as soon as he gets his next lap in.
Ryan at the top. Big Pink George Ward in second. Eli Sasek running in that third position. So we've got two rookies in the top 6. The 73 of Jason Duckworth and the 8 of Mitchell Semedo have yet to register a time. Just over 9 minutes remaining. Now, Liv, if you're Christina Ryan, if you're Nick Pressy, if you're Sean Kirby, you've already put in more than 3 laps of competition. What more are you going to learn from the car in these next 8 minutes and change that you don't already know?
Pressy just found the wall there. Might have to run this one back to pit lane to fix up the
he did.
The rear suspension. You already know a lot from practice. I think it's just about having the confidence to push and go all the way to the very edge on your final laps if you have that banker in. Crucially, Nicholas Pressy doesn't. Neither does Tucker Sawyer, who is on the primary still, does go 4th fastest with a 108.4, a great lap from the number 19. But he also finds that barrier in turn 1 as well. And neither driver has a hot lap set on the preferred tyre, with almost half the session gone so far.
Just under 8 minutes remain. If you just tuned in, you have not missed a thing. We are approximately halfway through our 15-minute open qualifying session for the 5th round in the ABN Champ Car World Series. I'm Rick James, Liv Hayward by my side. Lily Pelletier-Sharp, is she missing a piece of the... Yeah, she's missing a huge piece of the race car. What happened, Liv?
I'm not too sure. That's
Oh, and there goes the rest of the race car. I just cut you off, but a huge hit for Pelletier-Sharp.
Yes, clearly not happy with whatever the mistake was that caused that damage. I'll see if I can pull up what the incident was here as we fly back in time a little bit. And it looks like just a little bit too deep into turn number 6 here. A bit of oversteer and then corrects it into the wall. And does some damage to the suspension there as well. You see very much right hand down, bringing it back to pit lane as we go back to our live pictures. See, she's back out there because she made it back to pit lane before taking that reset. That is permitted. You are allowed to take a spare car. You just have to make sure that you're back down on pit road before you do it. Eli Sasek with a 7.5 is our new top time. And Nicholas Pressy is a driver I want to keep an eye on because he currently down all the way in P8, and that's not where we expected him after seeing his top time in practice.
Rookie Craig Yor is out on the racetrack as well, the Australian trying to set his first time of his afternoon. And it looks like he might have lost a bit of his race car as well, and he did. The Victoria Bitter machine headed right past the Laugh Factory, makes contact with the wall, and he does tow, so it looks like Yor will not be setting a time. And, well, and actually, as I'm seeing it now, Liv, Craig Yor is actually leaving pit road as well, so Bryce Saucier is not alone in being a driver who's leaving pit road when the rules say they are not permitted to do so.
Yeah, and let's not forget, it's been 2 weeks since the last round, 3 weeks since the last road course round. And I know a lot of these drivers run all over iRacing in different leagues and different series. And sometimes you just get crossed upon which leagues and which series have the specific rules. It's always something to double check in the lead up to a session of make sure you dot those I's and cross those T's. Carmen Sienna with a great lap. 108.3 puts her 4th fastest, but all eyes right now on Nicholas Pressy, who needs to find a lap time in these last 5 minutes to put himself up into the competitive half of the field.
5 and change remaining. It goes Sasek, Ryan, Ward, your top 3. Carmen Sienna in 4th in that Patron machine, and our points leader, Tucker Sawyer, running in that 5th position. And 5 minutes is a lot of time to put together 1, possibly 2 laps for a run. So a lot's going to change here, Liv.
Yeah, and speaking of change at the top of the board, Nicholas Pressy does finally get a lap in on the alternate compound tyre, and it is a 4.82. Tucker Sawyer has made the call down to pit lane and has also gone onto those green sidewall Huayuli, word of the day, alternate tyres. We'll see if he has a response to Nicholas Pressey, whether either of these drivers can dip into the 107.3s or maybe a little bit further.
4 minutes. About to be 3 and then some. Tucker Sawyer sits. Where does he sit right now? Looking at the tree, he's 6th. Not where we expect him to be. And after Texas Motor Speedway, Christina Ryan, from what I'm seeing here, she's leading the points coming into this round. No, hang on. Nope, I've got that backwards. I apologize. I'm looking at last week's results. She won last week. 3 and then some to go. Let me get this pulled back up, Liv, and maybe you can help me out points-wise, because I want to see where the results are going to be.
I believe it's Sawyer, Pressey, and then Christina Ryan has inserted herself into 3rd place. Eli Sasek in the background. Seems like maybe had some contact with the wall but got away. But Tucker Sawyer, the Ascent Racing teammate, did go fastest, and now Nicholas Pressey down on pit lane to take a fresh set of tyres for one final run. We'll see if Tucker Sawyer can find any improvement in this second attempt, but then it'll be all eyes on the number 94 to see, like at Barber 3 weeks ago, whether he has a response for Tucker Sawyer in that Ascent Racing number 19 Honda.
Finally got the points right. I'm looking at them right now. It's a 4-point gap from Tucker Sawyer back to Nick Pressey. The aforementioned Christina Ryan has 143 to Tucker Sawyer's 157 points, as we have 2 1/2 minutes remaining in the Los Angeles streets. Talk to me.
Tucker Sawyer with a 107 flat on the second lap on those alternate tyres. We knew that it was possible to extract more out of them after they had another lap of running, and Sawyer found another 0.3 of a second and very nearly got into the 66-second window. As it stands, we'll sit 0.5 tenth away from that, but I would be very surprised if Nicholas Pressey has any response to try and take pole position here. Here he comes. You see him take that wide line to set up out of the hairpin for his first of what will be 2 attempts left in the session. He has time to come back around and set a second lap, but he's got to find more than 0.4 of a second to topple the number 19 of Tucker Sawyer.
So 107.04 at the top. Nick Pressey has 0.4 to make up, just a little more than 0.4. Eli Sasek sitting in 3rd. Let's see if, and it doesn't look like Sasek is out on the pits, so he may not have the opportunity to make up that time. So it is really down to Nick Pressey. It's down to Nick Pressey, Christina Ryan, currently sitting 4th in the table, and then George Ward in 5th, all out on the racetrack. Taking the famous right-hander down the Los Angeles back straight and into this parking lot complex, if you will. We were talking in practice earlier about how these are literal streets. This does end up being a parking lot that becomes this final hairpin. All eyes on Brooklyn's Nick Pressey. He's going to get a great tow from Carmen Sienna out of the final corner. No more tow for Nick Pressey. It's all on him. 1:07.48, his best time. Nick Pressey takes a heavy bump. He'll cross the line. 1:07.27. He improves and remains 2nd.
But again, that lap is 1/10 faster than Sawyer found on the first lap of his run. Pressey with a not very tidy opening sector though, so has a lot to find if he wants to find the additional 0.2 or so. There you see so much of the curb used out in turn number 5. Through turn 6 here, you want to try and go all the way out to the right hand side, maybe not over that red line, it's very bumpy out there. And then through turn 8 here, using all of the inside, it's been a tidy middle sector. Nicholas Pressey might just about have enough as Christina Ryan, out of nowhere, has put it on the front row here, toppling Pressey down onto row number 2. But maybe he has a little bit more left in the tank, coming through the hairpin one final time, full lock, and then down on the power, down East Shoreline Drive.
fast as he can, smooth as he can, across the line, 107.49. He does not improve, so it's going to be Tucker Sawyer, Christina Ryan, Nick Pressey. 1, 2, 3. George Ward crosses the line, 108.38. And Sean Kirby with one more attempt coming through the hairpin. He sits in 9th. He's only 2 100ths off of Mo Perry's time in the 8th position. He will pull into the pits. That will be it. Points leader Tucker Sawyer, another notch on the post. He's got pole in Long Beach.
Second pole of his Champ Car career. The first one, of course, came at Sebring, and clearly loving the sunshine here with a fantastic run. A 107.0 exceeding any expectations for a qualifying time in this session. And I would love to have a quick word with him before we get going if he's willing to give us that. But of course it is Christina Ryan with a late lap. Pole sitter in Season 2 ends up sitting outside pole for this one. Nicholas Pressey in 3rd, and then Eli Sassigan, the rookie of George Ward, will round out your top 5 for this one.
Sit tight. We're going to try and grab our pole sitter. We'll be back in just a moment with Tucker Sawyer, our warm-up session, and then the green flag for our ABN Champ Car World Series race at Long Beach. Rick James with our pole sitter, Tucker Sawyer. And Tucker, it's another pole for you this season. You come into this race with a 4-point lead over Nick Pressey and already starting off on the right foot in LA.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked to be on pole. I was pretty sure in the last, minute and a half, I messed up because I miscalculated how long it would take for me to get new tires in the pit lane, but somehow managed to keep it. Yeah, just happy to be on pole. Hopefully I can convert that to another win.
Coming into this race with that points lead, does it give you any added pressure, or are you trying to just take it literally one corner at a time?
I mean, I wanted it. I'm just going to run my race, but it's in the back of my head that if I mess up, I'll probably lose the points lead. But I'm not thinking about it that much. I'm just head forward, thinking about the race.
We're going to let you get to work here in this warm-up session. Congratulations on the pole, and hopefully we talk to you at the end.
Yep, thank you.
Liv, 3 minutes and then some remaining for these drivers, and what's left? I mean, what more can a driver do to prepare themselves for this extremely difficult racetrack?
I think a breather right now is probably the best thing. You, of course, have some experience running in the tire that you need to start the race on. I guess some standing start practice is the most important thing. Something that these drivers need to nail to get down to turn 1 safely. Ultimately, we do have a caution procedure available if it's necessary, but we're hoping that these drivers can make it through without that. One thing I did want to mention is that we saw how Tucker was able to improve on that second lap. Track temp is all the way above 100 Fahrenheit here, 41 Celsius, 106 Fahrenheit, despite quite a cool air temp. But we saw an improvement on the second flying lap in that last run. Tucker Sawyer seems to have a little bit more long run pace available in the alternate tires, so maybe he's happy starting on those. Maybe those are going to be his preferred tire throughout the race, and he's maybe going to take those for 3 of his 4 required stints.
$150 to go. We've got a crash in turn number 1. Looks like Nick Pressey's not getting off to a great start in his warm-up. But that's what the warm-up is for. Go out there and push the car as hard as you can. See if you can learn any last-minute details. I'm interested in this run to turn number 1. We're minutes away from what could be the end of somebody's race before they hit the fountain.
Yeah, there is one fast pair available on the road courses this season. I expect a few of those to be used throughout the field, but of course you have to tow back to pit lane. That's at least a lap that you give up throughout the race, and you're not going to get that back. The key thing is just to be patient, not to force anything too early. I know with how difficult overtaking is here, it can be tempting to go for a big move to open up the race. But with 3 pit stops, there's plenty of time to get a move done without having to make it on the racetrack. So a lot of opportunities later on if drivers can be a bit more patient. But as we look at the run down towards turn 1, let's have a look at what our starting grid does look like for tonight's race.
On the pole, we're going to have our points leader, Tucker Sawyer, and Christina Ryan right by his side. It's going to be a great run into turn number 1. The pride of Brooklyn, Nick Pressey, alongside Eli Sasick in our second row, occupying positions 5 and 6. Big Pink, George Ward, and Carmen Sienna in that gorgeous Patron 96. Row number 4 is going to see Lily Pelletier-Sharp and Mo Perry side by side. Great run for Mo at Texas a couple of weeks ago. Looking to see more of the same. Sean Kirby, Colin McDonough, one of those Nick Pressey cars side by side. Kirby, one of the rookies in this field. Row number 6. We've got Craig Yord, Jason Duckworth, similar looking cars, one Australian, one American. We're going to see great things out of both of these rookies. In this 7th row, Mitch Semedo and Bryce Saucier, another one of those Nick Pressey cars. And at the back of the field, that's going to be it. Semedo and Saucier, cars gridding, lining up, and getting ready to race on the streets of Los Angeles. The track is so special. If you're watching IMSA, if you're watching IndyCar, the ABN Champ Car World Series, it's all just incredible. Getting ready for 55 laps of competition on the streets of Long Beach. Waiting for the lights. Green flag, and we are racing. It's a great start by Christina Ryan. The points lead. Tucker Sawyer now 2-3 wide with Nick Pressey down that front straight. The run to turn number 1 going to be all Chris Ryan. She's got the whole shot into the first corner. Calamity, cars trying not to make contact. Sawyer gets away with 3rd, and there's a huge crash in turn number 1. The caution comes out. It looks like Colin McDonough's been involved. Lily Pelletier-Sharp, rookie Craig Yore running 12th out of 14th combatants right now. I don't know if the Aussie got into any issue. Live. It goes Ryan, Sawyer, Pressey, 1, 2, 3, and it happened right in turn number 1.
Yeah, first of all, great start from Christina Ryan on the outside pole there to get the jump and get rolling into the lead. She will lead the single file restart back around the hairpin a couple laps time, but further back, Carmen Sienna with quite an aggressive move moving into turn number 1 might make it stick, and then further behind, some drivers I think trying to replicate and not quite making it happen. We'll see if we can pull up a replay of what happened here following George Ward here, and we'll start to when you see that move from Carmen Sienna, you then see the 39 of Colin McDonough go up the inside of Lily Pelletier-Sharp, and that forces George Ward into the wall. It starts everyone up. A couple cars skate through on that inside line, but Pelletier-Sharp fully spun around after, well, a breach of rule number 1 ultimately.
I do think Craig Yore made it through. I think Jason Duckworth also made it through unharmed. What I see here is Carmen Sienna with a huge move in the braking zone. She gets right through the cars, and she almost makes contact with Lily Pelletier-Sharp. Then they go 3 wide, and no one's going to win. Colin McDonough gets the brunt of it. George Ward takes a heavy slam into the right front corner. And Calamity. It happened. We talked about it. We talked about how dangerous the run into turn 1 was going to be, and here it is. I'll tell you what, though, I didn't expect it to be 3 wide on lap number 1. Liv, have another look here at the 96 of Sienna, and then take a look at Pelletier Sharp. She's got nowhere to go after this.
It will go off the right rear here of Carmen Sienna. I mean, it's moving slightly to the inside, but I think, honestly, Pelletier Sharp's already taking that look. She then checks up, and I don't think Madonna's making the corner either way back there. I think it's a very difficult spot. We'll get one last look from Pelletier Sharp if I can get that replay queued up. We're going to all the way from the start of the race go onto this low-down camera. Started 7th, of course, and had a decent launch down to turn 1, and you see Carmen, yeah, I mean, commits to the inside of George Ward as she tries to get to the inside of Carmen, and it just stacks everyone up a little bit. She just spin around. 3 meatball flags there. We had one for George Ward, one for Olivia Shop, and one for Colin McDonough. They're all down on pit lane. I believe McDonough may have retired from this one. But as we cut back to live action, the rest of the drivers seeming like... Okay, now Mo Perry pulls down pit lane to fix the damage to that right rear wheel cover, or left rear wheel cover, I should say. I would imagine this is going to be a fast repair used up for the 54 as well as for Jason Duckworth behind, who was caught up in that and hit, I believe, on that left rear as well. So they will stop. They will take a tyre change. This will not satisfy the stint requirement. It needs to be 5 laps on each tyre, so not too much change in terms of race strategy, except for a potential 2-stop fuel save is now maybe a little bit more viable. Jason Duckworth pulls away. Mo Perry, I think, is actually taking some repair manually there, as you see that wheel cover start to pop back into shape. So the 54 wanting to keep the fast repair in pocket, expecting a few more issues throughout the rest of this one.
So I think we got all the action that some people might be able to handle for one race. Let's hope the drivers can keep it together for the remainder. But that's just sometimes the way racing goes. I'm sure nobody wanted the race to start this way, but that's what you get when you pack 14 fierce competitors on these tight streets. So 3 laps underway. The BMW pace car will stay out for at least 1 more lap around Long Beach. Looking at the track, Liv, we talked about it earlier in practice as well, but this is a very difficult circuit just because the fact that these are actual roads. This isn't a smooth surface prepared for race cars. So every bump can upset the weight, the balance, even the speed of your race car.
Yeah, the setup philosophy very different here compared to a more standard racetrack. These drivers do have experience over at Sebring a few weeks ago, so that'll help them out a lot. But it's just so tricky with the walls being close by, and not just the fact that there's bumps, but also the rubber can be in weird places. Of course, city streets tend to rubber in different places, but this final sector, hosting the Formula Drift event each year, the weekend before the Grand Prix, which means that the grip throughout that carousel section is really unpredictable. And combine that with the bumps that run through there, of course, typically a bit of a car park section, as George Ward pulls down pit lane for a little bit more fuel, I would expect. We are going to finally go, I believe, 1 to green. And Christina Ryan has a long time to think about how she wants to win the run down to turn 1 once again. And it looks like we are starting up double file. I would hope there is an agreement to abandon that through the hairpin, because it's difficult to do at the best of times. And these drivers have already struggled once in this race.
Well, they got a whole lap to think about that. There's a while to think about how you're going to attack this. But Liv, you're the driver. You give us your strategy. If you're in Christina Ryan's seat, it's your call. You have to be the one to the line. So as soon as that green flag drops, you need to be ready and make sure you win the race into turn number 1. How are you going to do it?
Well, first thing I'm going to try hitting that push to pass button. I'm not entirely sure if it's available the first lap after a caution. But iRacing can be strange sometimes, so I'm going to try and use it down to turn 1. It's the most crucial point of the race for it if possible. And otherwise, it's just about making sure you've got your adjustments back into the correct fuel map now as you sort of come through towards the final sector, so that all of your attention, you can just relax and focus on the green flag, the call from your spotter, and be the first one onto the power to dictate the line down to turn 1. She has the inside for that left-hander, and that can be a very useful line to be on.
So let me ask you here about the restart procedures. For those that may not know the ABN Champ Car rules here, like if you're used to NASCAR, the rules dictate that the leader must be the first to the line. Do the same regulations apply here?
Green flag controls all, well, starts and restarts in this series, so Dr. Sawyer has a very similar opportunity to try and make up for the lost ground on the standing start. But, of course, with it being a rolling start, it's a lot more difficult to get fully clear. And that number 80 would have the line down in towards turn number 1. You see the field line back up. The pace car pulls off. We wait for that green flag. And we are back racing once again at Long Beach. And Christina Ryan again with a great jump. She's going to be, I think, almost clear into turn 1 and have to defend from Nicholas Pressy more than anything else on that inside line. Trotter Sawyer keeps the nose in but ends up shuffled. They'll be side by side into the fountain, and Trotter Sawyer gets the nose in and the rest of the field slots through. And I believe everyone has made it through in one piece this time.
Ryan, Sawyer, Pressy, your top 3. Carmen Sienna in that 4th position, and Eli Sasek rolling in 3rd. Now down into the Laugh Factory left-hander. It's Ryan, Sawyer, nose to tail. Pressy, Sienna falling behind down this back straight, and Ryan is in control, Liv.
And I tell you what, as we pull this up, they did use that push to pass, a little bit of a Penske tactic on that restart, making sure they got the jump. The top 3 all using it on this first lap to give themselves a little bit of buffer as we go into the hairpin for the first time. The front few are strung out, but what's it looking like further back? George Ward all the way around, and that car does not look healthy. I think he's already taken his fast repair. We'll see what happened to the number 36. But he's going to continue on for another lap. Let's try and get that replay queued up for you very quickly.
He had the massive shunt into turn number 1, Liv. That huge crash into turn 1. Here he is again behind Craig Yore. Keep your eyes on that machine and just tell me what happens to him now.
So first of all, Mo Perry goes at the inside of turn 8 and sort of muscles Craig Yore out of the way. Then goes a bit deep in 9. Craig Yore is not wanting to wait around. I think a little bit of netcode ultimately sends George Ward spinning around, but fortunately much less damage than we initially thought. We'll get back to our live pitch. He's still running with Colin McDonough 2 laps down, directly behind, looking to pick up some spots through attrition. Go back to our intervals, and there you see the top 5 or 6 strung out a fair bit, and then this battle for 8th and 9th especially. Very hot indeed. Mo Perry, Craig Yore, and Lydia Pelletier Sharp all under a blanket through the hairpin. Oh, Mo Perry clips the wall.
Oh, Mo Perry in the 54 machine with a big issue. And was that another car that just got into him right there?
Perry. Colin McDonough didn't leave space on the inside there. Saw the yellow, but didn't know where it was. And catches Mo Perry, and I think does a bit more damage to the number 54. We'll get a look at what happened there once
McDonough
again.
He does indeed make contact. I'm looking back at this again, and that 39 hit that car. You could hear the contact that was made. This is on board with Mo Perry right now. Lily Pelletier Sharp getting around Mitch Tomato for 8th currently. This is on that hairpin, and Liv, I think the TMR machine just got hooked on. Let's see what happens. Yup, gets hooked right there on the inside of the racetrack. Craig Yor just barely misses that one. Here comes the 39 of Colin McDonough. Yep, Mo backs up just as Colin McDonough arrives, and that's it. That's it right there. Back onto the track, Liv. First, second, and third separated by 1.2 seconds. Tucker Sawyer within 0.6 to Chris Ryan.
Yeah, the top three, as they were on this restart, doing a great job holding on. All three drivers used some push to pass on that restart lap. Christina Ryan, another 20 seconds since. She is trying to pull away, trying to use the resources, but not having any luck right now. I think maybe now is in more of a conservation mode, just trying to hold these drivers at bay until this first round of pit stops in maybe 10 laps time or so.
I'm just interested to see. Oh, there goes Ryan. The leader's gone around right out of the right-hander down the hill. Ryan loses the lead. She's down to 4th. Sasek now coming up behind her, trying to overtake for 5th, and he shall. Christina Ryan comes into this race 3rd in the points. 14 markers off of Tucker Sawyer, and she has just handed a massive advantage. Nick Pressey leads. Tucker Sawyer's in the 2nd position, and the race lead turned upside down, Liv.
Yeah, let's have another look at what happened here. I think it was just a little bit too heavy on the brakes and locking up the rears a little bit into turn number 8. Does a perfect 360 and gets going again, but struggles to get rolling with the heat in those rear tires, a very soft compound. And Eli Sassett does win the drag race down into turn number 9. She's still slotted in behind and now has to just manage those alternates until the pit stop so she can get a fresh set that hasn't been absolutely flash heated there.
If there's any good news is that she didn't make contact, but that's twice now we've seen drivers just make a couple of mistakes. We saw Mo Perry turn the TMR machine around, and then we see Christina Ryan. She has thrown away that lead, and she sits 5 seconds adrift of race leader Nick Pressey. So it's 9/10 from 1st to 2nd. It's 7/10-ish from 4th to 5th. And the red mist is descending, Liv, because Christina Ryan is coming up on Eli Sasek in a hurry.
Yeah, I mean, not happy about how that happened. I believe that may have been the same corner back in season 2, 3 years ago, where she gave up that race lead with a mistake into the barrier. She ended up coming home 4th in that race, recovered to win the championship. But this is very much a bellwether for the rest of the season. Season 4, Bruno Miranda won here and dominated the series. Back in Season 2, Emma Kruger won this race, went on to win the road course title, and then won Season 3 the following time out. This is a race that really shows the drivers that have the potential. Christina Ryan has to make that recovery drive work to really showcase that. She went for a dummy into turn 1, couldn't quite get it done. Now at the front of the field, Tucker Sawyer still putting pressure on the 94 of Pressey, but it's very difficult to get a good run through out of the final corner and then push to pass down into turn number 1.
10 laps of the scheduled 55 underway in Los Angeles. It's still Nick Pressey, Tucker Sawyer within half a second. Eli Sasek with the same kind of trouble as Christina Ryan is within half a second to him. Craig Yor and Jason Duckworth separated by 6/10 in their battle for 9th. Sawyer now up behind Nick Pressey through the fountain section, 94-19 battling for the lead. And again, looking at the points, Nick Pressey is only 4 markers back of Tucker Sawyer. This is the chance for him to turn the title battle around, Liv.
10 points the difference between 1st and 2nd in this system. It's very important to win those duels at the front of the field. And right now, Pressey has the upper hand, had the better start ultimately. Tucker Sawyer had the chance to run over, but couldn't quite make it stick. Now, Pressey from 3rd on the grid leads this Grand Prix at 1/5 race distance. Carmen Sienna does run 3rd, but has used more than a quarter of her push to pass already. and is still being left behind by this juggernaut duo that we've seen all season long on the road courses.
So, with Pressy currently in control of the race, if you're Tucker Sawyer, just keep the pressure on Pressy. I'm not trying to pass him at this point. Conserve what you've got and make the 94 work.
And not just that, but you want to stick as close as possible. If you can fuel save an extra lap to overcut the 94, that'll give you an opportunity to put in a hot lap at the end of the stint with that push to pass. Or if you dive in a lap early, you have the fresh tyres as well. They'll take a few corners to get up to temperature, but then throughout the back half of the outlap, they are going to be absolutely flying, and you have to get the move done around the inside as they exit the pit lane towards turn number 1.
Pressy, hold on to that lead tightly. If I'm Tucker Sawyer, well, and I'll ask you, you're the driver. Do you use the push to pass to get around him, or being this close to the leader, does it not matter? Would you be comfortable in this position?
In the first stint of the race, I'd probably be patient. Of course, you have to work it out at the very end. Tucker Sawyer will go back to this perspective and see that he is on the button here. He's now about 25 seconds, or 20 seconds lower than Nicholas Pressy is on that additional power, additional 60 horsepower that you get from that button. And the track position remains the same here, as we have a couple of replays to queue up here. First of all, we have a view of this overtake. Christina Ryan also on the push to pass here. It's following behind Eli Sasek, and I'm thinking it might have been a mistake from the number 9 because she's a long way back. And Eli overshoots.
Oh, there goes Ryan.
Look
Look at the move. Look at the move. And it looked like a bit of a mistake, because Sasek had just swung that car around way too wide, and now Christina Ryan just running away with that 4th position. Eli Sasek 2 seconds behind at the front. Nick Pressy expanding his lead over Tucker Sawyer, and that is the pass for the 4th position. Quickly approaching 40 laps to go.
Replay again here from Mo Perry, a little bit too much on the curbs there through turn 5, but gets away with it. Lovely turn 6, there may have been a little bit of an issue for the 54. Straight on, tries to bail out, gets into the runoff, and then catches the tyre barrier on the way back out, and that is going to snap the left front suspension. He's back down to pit lane, has taken the fast repair that he smartly did save after that opening caution. He's back out on the racetrack 1 lap down right now. Now you see him filter through. That is Jason Duckworth behind. This could play a bit of a factor in this battle for 8th place. I'm sure Perry will be eager to get out of the way as soon as possible here, as Nicholas Pressy's been down on pit road here. Pressy's made the call very early, and I believe that may not have been scheduled. We'll have to take a look back, but no, that's a very early pit stop from the 94.
So an incredibly early pit stop from Nick Pressy. Earlier, his teammate Colin McDonough with incident spun around on the last corner. Now, Pressy, maybe he's expecting Tucker Sawyer to be quicker than him and possibly expecting an undercut.
Yeah, I mean, he's covered it off here, but the thing is that Pressy had the track position advantage. He was dictating the pace from the number 19 there. He's taken the gamble early to take that pit stop, and now Tucker Sawyer has clean track in front of him to try and make the most of. Last time by was 108.8 from Tucker Sawyer, so not the strongest lap, and there's the lockup. Still getting the tyres up to temperature for Nicholas Pressy. I'm not sure it's going to pay off for the number 94 here. He's made a huge gamble to give Tucker Sawyer an opportunity to push.
Well, and it's going to be all Tucker Sawyer's race at this point if Nick Pressy can't continue to push the issue. But of course he has to try everything. I mean, he can't do this by himself. It's going to take a bit of patience from Pressy, but it's also going to take different strategies that he can run as well. Tucker Sawyer still leading this race, and all of the top 7 have yet to pit. Bryce Saucier up 8 places. Mitch Semedo up 6 places as they run. And my question is this. Tucker Sawyer clearly has to be taking care of those tires very, very well. But the trade-off is going to be that he's going to be losing so much more time to Nick Pressey now.
Well, you say that. He managed a 108.3 last time I used and pushed past to make it happen. But when you're sat in that tone, there's nowhere to go around Nicholas Pressey. What you can do is you can save a little bit of fuel. You can save your tires a little bit more to then give you the opportunity to take advantage on the late run. Nicholas Pressey sets a flying lap, and it's 0.2 of a second slower. He'll get past Eli Sasek, who enters pit lane now, but Tucker Sawyer has gained over the last lap. The question is, will it be enough once he does pull into pit lane for Nicholas Pressey to win the race? Tucker Sawyer goes for a 17th lap after saving fuel under that initial caution. Carmen Sienna peels in behind. We'll see if Strian Ryan opts to follow, but this is not looking good for the number 94 right now.
And Tucker Sawyer is the points leader for a reason, but Tucker Sawyer is also very, very skilled, and he knows these cars. He knows the strategy. It's incredibly difficult to beat him. So kudos to Pressey for trying something different. Of course, as we get closer to halfway, we know that racing isn't finished in the first 17, 18 laps. That's why we love racing, because anything is quite literally possible in this event. Tucker Sawyer, the responsibility, Liv, falls on him not to make a mistake, to keep these lap times up. Last time around, Sawyer 108.37. Nick Pressey last time around 108.71. So 0.4 the gap. And now I'm curious, maybe you can explain, Liv, how is Tucker Sawyer still this fast?
Well, Nicholas Pressey had some traffic on that last lap. That's the main issue why it wasn't so quick that time by. He gets past George Ward now. That is Carmen Sienna, who just made a pit stop. She's ended up into the barrier. Tucker Sawyer has now come down to pit lane. We'll have a look at this instant and disaster for the number 96. You see the exit of pit lane here. The tyres are very cold in this moment, even further outside the operating window, because these soft tyres prefer hotter temperatures and just takes way too much of that inside curb in turn number 4, rolls it to the inside and gets it towed, but that is going to be the end to her race. Go back to live pictures as that tow continues, and Tucker Sawyer rolls down pit lane. Nicholas Pressey only just rolls out of the hairpin now, and that is an easy advantage for the number 19, who is into turn 1 and through the fountain already.
Tucker Sawyer in that lead. Jason Duckworth up 10 positions. He's in that second position. Bryce Saucier in third. Saucier, by my math, or maybe I missed it, he has yet to pit. So we're expecting big times out of Saucier after he comes out of the pit lane. Teammate Nick Pressey behind him in that 4th position, and it is a 7.5 second gap from Tucker Sawyer back to Nick Pressey. Just unbelievable pit delta. Pressey pitting on lap 13, Sawyer on lap 17, and after that first stint, Liv, it looks like this could be Sawyer's race to lose.
Yeah, you see a little bit of team orders there. Saucier still has to pit along with Duckworth and Ward, who took a stop under the caution. Pressey is trying to make some moves here, but the damage has been done. First of all, the track position got lost, but also Tucker Sawyer with a fantastic overcut there as Pressey gets a little bit of traffic. And he has gapped by 7 seconds. That is a big margin to make up, especially now that you're not in the rearview mirror of Tucker Sawyer. That's going to take the pressure off and let him run his race, and that's where he's at his most dangerous.
I think he's at his most dangerous when he sits in the rig. He's just dangerous everywhere he goes. Every single race, he just proves to be a threat to win. We know he's going to be a threat to win this championship, but I think now we're realizing he is the man to beat to win this championship. So I'm really excited for the rest of the season, but the rest of this race as well, because there's so many drivers who have a shot to win, but there's so many mistakes that can be made as well. We've already seen it with Carmen Sienna. We saw Colin McDonough make mistakes, just drivers forgetting, maybe not forgetting the parameters of their race car, but maybe forgetting that the track can come out and grab you Craig, you're missing a piece of his race car, Liv.
Yeah, stopped a couple laps ago, managed to come out ahead of Bryce Sosa, but has had some contact with one of the barriers. You can run at this pace, or an okay pace with half front wind, but you're down about maybe a second or two per lap, especially through the right-handers. We see Trade Your go deep and have to correct. This will gather Carmen Sienna up, who is one lap down, but is going to want to get past number 35 here. And he either has a long way to limp back to save a pit stop, or has hit a 40-second piece of pain down pit lane to get a fresh race car again.
We'll see what he decides. Carmen Sienna comes out of the hairpin, and Yor will come down into the pits. So the Oz will take a break. He runs in that 10th position, and we'll see how long it takes him to come out of the pits with a functioning race car again. At the front of this race, it is no competition. Tucker Sawyer is ahead of Nick Pressey by over 7 seconds. You're looking at Christina Ryan, who's in 5th. She's within 1 second to Sean Kirby in that 4th position, and that gap continues to shrink, Liv.
Yeah, Christina Ryan had a long stop. Of course, did have that spin we thought didn't pick up any damage, but it seems like required a new rear wing on that Dallara IR18 at the first pit stop. That is a 15-second time delta. It's dropped her behind not just Eli Sassett, who's 10 seconds up the road, but also the rookie of Sean Kirby, and now she's got a lot of work to do to try and get back into those podium spots. Carmen Sienna, of course, has opened up that third step to try and reach out and take, but she's got to try and get this one done cleanly and get past the 2 race cars that are not to make it easy at all.
21 laps underway at Long Beach. Sawyer ahead of Pressey, 8 seconds the gap. Watching Ryan, who's within 4/10. Looks like Craig Yor's had another incident on the racetrack, Liv, and I think he just spun around this time. Keep our eyes on Christina Ryan. This is an unbelievably good battle here. 0.3 of a second. I'll see what happened to Craig Yor. She tries to open up the inside, headed into our parking lot section, and just can't pull it off. Where's going to be her best overtaking opportunity?
Ooh, I mean, not
she
into
almost
the hairpin.
Pins it into the back right there. Yeah, what in the world? It could have ended her whole race.
And I think it has maybe... I think she's just about got away without contact there, but she's trying to force a mistake out of the rookie, trying to get into the head by filling the mirrors on the sides, and I think just forced herself into an error there instead. Very lucky to not have contact between the two of them, but she's going to have to wait. I'd say maybe into turn number 9 might be your best bet, unless you can get a great run out of the hairpin, but it's so difficult with a car so close in front of you. We'll go back to the incident that Craig Yor had here. This is directly behind Bryce Sosa, and again has a... No, this is before. I believe...
Before he just loses control of the race car momentarily. Luckily, he doesn't hit anything, but it could very well have been the end of his race. But for a few drivers, well, no, and that's the incident where he lost a piece of this front wing, isn't it? Coming out of the pits after that, he lost an additional piece of, he lost control. I don't think he lost any more pieces of his race car, thankfully. But it hasn't been an easy afternoon for Craig.
No, Carmen Sienna, also the very different afternoon, had already come out and used her fast repair. And then deep into turn number 9, that will end her day. We'll have a look to see if we have the incident out of the pit lane for Craig Yor as he comes through the fountain section. And is this where the extra
It's going to be on the back stretch, so it's going to be quite a bit here. Not on this straight, but the following straight, where Craig, he's just going to lose control of the car and he's not going to hit anything.
Yeah, the camber falls away very brutally. If you miss that curb, it's part of why you want to try and use as much of it as possible. And especially with the cold primary tires now, there's just no grip to keep the car pointed in the right direction. We have an incident as well. This is Jason Duckworth, I believe, an incident in turn number 1 just a few moments ago. We'll see what happens to the number 73, but he's, I believe, rolling at very low speed. It's just straight on at turn 1. Couldn't quite bail out and into the barrier. Tries to get it rolling once again. And rejoins the racetrack a few seconds later. Bryce Sosa also, it says, was slow, but he is rolling in one piece. And I think with that, we can get a quick look at how Bryce Sosa got through that one. See. Oh, he does go straight on and maybe distracted by Duckworth ahead, but gets it rolling without any damage. And I think that maybe now, finally, we can get back to live pictures and see how everyone's doing.
Looking at Christina Ryan, she runs in that 5th position, still 0.8 of a second behind Sean Kirby. George Ward and Mo Perry went green, 109.93, 109.80 respectively. And looking at these stints here, drivers coming in somewhere between 12 and 17 laps. So we're right on the cusp of pit stops starting again if you are on that 12-lap strategy. Otherwise, if you're Tucker Sawyer, the math will say he's going to come in about 9 laps, and there's Jason Duckworth motionless on the outside of the hairpin, and he's just going to pull into the pits, and he's going to try and get that race car repaired. Liv, the gap between Kirby and Ryan does not change.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty. This is where those mistakes from the number 80 really start to hurt. She has to, I mean, really has not found a way around Sean Kirby. Has nearly caused an incident trying, and might have to get this one done in the next pit stop cycle, which is on the way. Of course, it's a expected restop for these drivers. They would have their second pit stop right around halfway, which we're approaching right now. But if you play the undercut to get around Sean Kirby, you then don't have much in the way of resources to try and get past Eli Sassett onto the podium. Eli Sassett has a lot more pushed pass available compared to Christina. And to make that work in the pit cycle, she is a little bit wide and deep into the hairpin again. We've got to use some of that additional power. She's already 50 seconds down on the number 9.
Looking at Sean Kirby, already 140 some seconds. Christina Ryan, 130. Look at Mo Perry, 98 seconds. Craig Yor says he's used all of his push to pass, and we're just now, I think, well, no, not even yet, halfway into this race. Yeah, so I'm not sure if Craig has just said, forget it, let's go all the way, and we'll see what happens. I don't know, maybe he's experimenting.
From Sean Kirby there. They're going to be side by side. Colin McDonough's going to be a little bit in the way into the corner, tries to bail out, but Kirby's a little bit stranded behind. And just like that, they're going to let Christina Ryan through. We'll try and get a view of exactly what precipitated that from the number 37. It's just through turn number 5 here, and you see already that lapper, maybe a bit of a distraction, maybe a little bit of dirty air, and just clunks over the curbs and opens up the inside for the number 80, which turns to the outside. And Kirby has to slot in behind. So that's one position back up for Christina. That's a little bit of stress gone. But now 7 seconds up to catch Eli Sassett and get that move done once again as we get towards the halfway point of the race. Mo Perry, of course, on the alternates, trying to fight around George Ward, has used a lot of push pass in the battle to do so. And then, yeah, Craig Joe, I think, treating the push pass like it's a bottle of EB Long Neck, and already has it all down the drain.
Checking out Mo Perry, who's a lap down. He's behind Craig Ward here. I'm sorry, Craig Ward.
George Ward. But here comes the undercut
George
here.
Ward and Craig Yor. Mo Perry's in. Nick Pressey's also in. 28 laps into this race, and Tucker Sawyer approximately 7 laps away from his next pit stop. Varying strategies all over the place, and Big Pink sits in that 8th position with some time to make up.
And this is where the push pass got used immediately after Mo Perry peeled down pit lane. This is where it's most important to cover that off and to keep the 54 behind. Nicholas Pressey, you mentioned, is down on pit lane, will fall down to 5th place when he rejoins. But one thing to mention, Tucker Sawyer actually bolted on a set of primary compound tyres here. We'll wait to see whether that's his preferred tyre. Most drivers liking how the green sidewalls feel. So if Tutter's got this out of the way in that cycle already, sure, that makes him extra confident going forwards. He had the confidence of knowing that he could undercut, and Nicholas Pressey, out of pit lane, has picked up a black flag. We'll see if we can spot what it was for the number 94 here. Was it a white line infringement on the merge? Yeah.
He crossed it, didn't he?
We'll roll it back just a few seconds to give you another look at that. The key thing is you have to merge in at that blue cone at the end of that yellow line. And he's just about a car length too early. Turns down, tries to open up turn 1 a lot more. It gains you a fair bit of time doing that, and because of that, Nicholas Pressey already back down pit lane for a second attempt at getting that exit right.
Well, and that, without another caution, could very well cost Nick his race, at least any chance of winning that race as well. And we've been talking about it. It's just a theme tonight, isn't it? There's just mistakes that are being made that can cost you the race, and I think this is another one of them. And it's not that Nick Pressey should be immune to mistakes. There's nobody that's immune to making mistakes, but with the parameters of this track, Liv, we keep talking about how tight, how difficult the track is. The track can force mistakes out of you that you wouldn't otherwise make.
Yeah, it's just it's claustrophobic is ultimately
very much so
the way it feels. You're in the heat, the tires are fighting you. You want to try and balance the car to not understeer into the wall and not oversteer into the wall. There's so much pressure in each and every corner that some drivers, even the best drivers, are going to crack at some point. And unfortunately, we've seen Carmen Sienna from 3rd place make those mistakes. Nicholas Pressey giving up the lead and then falling outside of the podium fight for now. Ryan and Kirby both within 40 seconds of Tucker Sawyer, and that was a full drive through 31-second time for Pressey. He now lines up behind George Ward, who is yet to pit, as Bryce Sosa gets unleashed as Mitch Mado falls down pit lane there. But Pressey all the way back here, and currently 1 lap down, waiting for the number 19 to pit.
Well, and for him, Liv, I mean, what is Pressey's move now? I mean, how much damage control can you really do from this position?
I mean, we'll have to wait and see. I think once the rest of the field pit, so at least the front runners pit, in the next 3 or 4 laps, it'll be easier to find out. George Ward knows that he has another stop to make and is not going to fight our 3rd place starter in this race. But there's just, you are almost flying blind right now. You have to just keep your head down and run what you can. Hope that other people's strategy ends up pushing them towards you, and trust that your pace can recover at the end of the day if anyone else makes a mistake. Bryce Sosa up to 3rd, yet to pit. Christina Ryan now safe from 2nd as Sean Kirby pulls it down pit lane.
Tucker Sawyer's also in. Sawyer is in. Sean Kirby is in. Christina Ryan, now the chase is on for her. She's got to move as quickly as possible to make up this time while Tucker Sawyer is motionless. All that being said, it's still, from what I'm counting here, it's still a 14-second gap while Christina Ryan comes out of the hairpin. So good luck to her. I think the biggest fight is going to be in the middle of this pack, and I think looking through these drivers here, Mo Perry just went green, 109.03.
I mean,
Christina Ryan's also in. Go ahead.
Our biggest fight right now, Sean Kirby made that pit stop and managed to come out ahead of Nicholas Pressey. That's the damage that's been done, but Sean Kirby has damage to the race car, going a little bit deep in turn number 8. And it looks like that is going to force another pit stop from the 37, so was pressuring and hassling Nicholas Pressey, but now a very, very easy to make mistake, and he's immediately back down pit lane for a fast repair of his own. Let's have a look at how this one happened.
At this point, who hasn't had a mistake? Who hasn't had an incident today? Because everybody has gotten in some trouble.
Oh, and I think we might have already had the incident that caused that damage. Sorry, let's roll it back one more time. I thought it was coming through turn 8, but I think actually it's that clip in the fountain while the tires are still cold, seeing Nicholas Pressey in the rear view, and that's already knocked the front left wheel out of alignment. We'll go back to our live picture, Sean Kirby on the pit exit here. Takes it nice and easy, taking that merge, but now has fallen a lap down from Tucker Sawyer. Nicholas Pressey only 3 seconds behind Christina Ryan right now. And when Bryce Sosa pits, this is going to be a three-way fight between Sasek, Ryan, and Pressey for what's going to be second place and third.
So right now it's 4 seconds from Saucier down to Sasek, that interval, and then it's another 6.25 seconds from Eli Sasek to Christina Ryan. Keep in mind, Bryce Saucier has not pitted. Eli Sasek pitted on lap 20. Sasek in again. Eli Sasek is into the pits. He's motionless there.
Oh, and that's
Nick Pressey. Go ahead.
It's a big incident for Eli Sasek. That's a toe down to pit lane from
Yet an incident. Goodness. And take another look here. Lap 33 looks like going into turn number 1. Eli Sasek with a massive incident. Did he just miss the braking point? Did he hit the wall?
Lots of the rears.
Yeah.
And
he
that
lost
is
the race car.
Terminal for Eli Sasek. I think still has the fast pair in tow, but can't roll it back to pit lane with the damage to the rear axle. That will bring us, and now it's Christina Ryan and Bryce Sosa. Christina Ryan and Nicholas Pressey, I should say, just dueling for which spots on the podium they end up inheriting. Tucker Sawyer with a 33-second lead right now as Sosa pulls into the pits. But Ryan and Pressey on the recovery drives of a lifetime here have ended up back in the podium positions as Craig Yore, I think, just sped on the way into the pit lane, and his day goes from bad to worse.
Well, and I think it's also just a question of who can survive at this point, because so many drivers have had incidents that have taken them out of this race. Now it's just a question of, can I even last while I'm doing this?
And the tricky thing, to be honest, for Tucker Sawyer is to find something to keep you focused. You have the reference points. Tucker Sawyer has been phenomenal all race long, been very consistent in his lap times. But with the pressure relieved from behind by the tune of 30 seconds, it can be easy to fall into a different pattern, to try and drive safe. And in doing so, stop using the reference points that have gotten you this far. Sawyer needs to not go 10 tenths for the rest of this race, but at least find something to keep him at pace. Maybe try and lap the field, because that's what keeps you locked in and stops you from making a silly, mindless error while distracted.
So for Tucker Sawyer, I mean, he sits 34 seconds ahead of the competition right now. You don't want him to get out of that groove. You don't want him to get out of that rhythm. He has to keep working. For Christina Ryan and Nick Pressey, there are points, but definitely the pressure is more immediate. 5 laps led, huge mistake coming out of that 94, but then thrown a lifeline by the mistakes of a couple of rivals, and here he is, 6 tenths behind in the fight for the silver medal, Liv.
Yeah, and we have Eli Sasek back out of... no, I believe it's Colin McDonough ahead. No, that's Craig Yore. It's difficult to spot from all the way back here, but that is a lap car that is
I got it.
Gonna be a little bit in the way out of the hairpin here. I think he's gonna try and get out of the way, but Nicholas Press on the push to pass. Christina Ryan trying to use the slipstream from the number 35 here. As a little bit miscommunication onto what line he was going to go onto. Pressi's going to have a look into turn 1, slots back in, and doesn't force a mistake deep into the braking zone from Christina Ryan. And Pressy with a drift can't keep those alternate tyres under control right now. And he's starting to fall away. Remember, these tyres are 3 laps older than Christina's are. He's backed himself into a corner on strategy by pitting early to go for undercuts. These Guayuli tyres are screaming. He has one more stop left to make to get onto a set of primaries, but he's got to go at least another, I'd say, 4 laps before he can put those on.
Well, now the question is just how hard is he going to be pushing? Because he's throwing everything at this battle for the 2nd position right now. Watching from Mo Perry, who's currently in the 8th spot. Sean Kirby, also 0.6 of a second behind Mitch Semedo. They're battling it out for the 5th position. So Perry, by his lonesome right now, he's 26 seconds behind George Ward, 30 seconds ahead of Jason Duckworth. And there goes Mo Perry. He's going to destroy the race car. This is on Mo Perry's 35th lap of competition, and a huge incident for him. Mitch Semedo, Sean Kirby, they're separated by 0.4 of a second. Semedo just trying to hold on to this one, Liv.
Yeah, and both drivers on the same compound tyre, but Sean Kirby's 2 laps fresher. Mitchell Semedo, and this is a slightly worrying thing to see this late into a race, still has all 200 seconds of push to pass available. That normally doesn't mean they're being resourceful. That means they've forgotten to bind the button. And Sean Kirby on the push to pass right now gets to the inside of turn 1. They're going to try and fight this one side by side. And actually, Semedo stays committed, can take the inside line into the fountain. And despite the fact with one hand tied behind his back on engine power, is able to hold on to the spot for right now. But it's surely the clock is ticking and Kirby will be able to get that move done sooner rather than later.
Kirby's got time. Kirby's got time. He's on the green tires right now. We're quickly approaching, the final 15 laps of racing, if you will. He's right there, and he's almost using even the walls to try to get around Mitch Semedo. Down this long straight, headed into the parking lot section. 0.5 second is the gap. Sean Kirby using the majority of his push to pass, but now he needs to be careful with that. And one driver that needs to be careful, Liv, Tucker Sawyer. Cue the 19. The leader has an incident.
We'll pull it up right now. Let's see what happens to
Spinning
Tucker.
It out of the hairpin. Now, lucky for Tucker, here's it's almost frustrating here. It's a big nothing burger here for Tucker. Now, 2 things that I notice here, Liv. 1, this racetrack will jump out and bite anybody, even the guy dominating the race. 2, after that incident, Tucker Sawyer is now only 28.5 seconds ahead of Christina Ryan.
I mean, that is a spectacular performance from Tucker Sawyer. Remembering that this is the Formula Drift layout and trying to give us a show through the final set to not quite pulling it off. But like we saw earlier in the race with that Christina Ryan incident, that's what we thought, does it without picking up any damage to the race car. He's able to keep going without any trouble. And as you mentioned, it's still these fights for 2nd and for 5th. As the lap car gets involved, that is Colin McDonough.
Oh, there's a huge car stuck there. Mitch Semedo makes it through, but does pick up some damage. There's still cars stuck there. Colin McDonough still moving backwards in the hairpin. Let's take a look. McDonough's still spinning around in the hairpin.
And this
the
starts...
wing now hanging off the back of his race car. And let's take a look. Let's watch what happens in the hairpin here. McDonough takes a very wide entrance, cuts right down on Mitch Semedo, and Sean Kirby he gets trapped, doesn't he? He has to back up the car and try and avoid all of that.
Yeah, and I think if we go on board from the helmet cam of Semedo, you can see there's a lap car ahead through this section. Going deep there, you think they might be going out to the wall, taking that qualifying line. Semedo goes for the gap, knowing there's pressure behind, and has a car turn on top of him. He's missing the front wing there. Kirby is rolling actually in one piece, but way further back. And
I'd be incensed if I were Sean Kirby. That's just
for either of them. I'd be incredibly frustrated because Semedo has a repair to take soon. They should be able to do it without costing a pit stop as we open the pit window for the final time. You see the 8 still struggling with that damage. He's only 5 seconds up the road from Sean Kirby. And so with that wind change, that might hand the position to the number 37 after such a strong defense from Mitchell, unless he has a fast repair in pocket.
George Ward now just trying to get around Mitch Semedo, and Mitch can't keep up this kind of pace for much longer without absolutely destroying the rest of the race car, so Ward will patiently wait for his turn to get around. In the second position, Christina Ryan holds a 7/10 of a second gap ahead of Nicholas Pressey. Again, her position to give up, but still, the job's not done. So much more work to do to secure this second position on the streets of Los Angeles. 41 laps of the scheduled 55 are underway. Big Pink makes his way around Mitch Semedo, who will presumably make his way down into the pits. And so much race and so much happening in these last 3 or 4 laps.
Yeah, I mean, the entire half the field is in this cluster on different laps. You have Colin McDonough back out here. You've got Mitch Semedo and George Ward. At the front of the field, Bryce Sosa and Tucker Sawyer coming through the fountain section right now. Everyone seems to have clustered up magnetically. The window has opened. Nicholas Pressey has to pit very soon indeed, as in fact he does pull down pit lane this time by. He's going to have to pit, I believe, onto a set of primary tyres, so it's going to be a difficult undercut to use here. And I think right now eyes are on Christina Ryan to see what her in-laps are like as she's on a set of primes and needs to try and cover off that stop from Nicholas Pressey.
So Christina Ryan with a huge advantage now while Nick Pressey is in the pits, and the drivers get spread out once again. Now this is going to be the final stop for many drivers here. This is going to give them the fuel, the tires to go the distance. From here, Liv, do you expect this to be a conservation game to make sure that you make it to the end in one piece?
It's hard to say. Christina Ryan's on the button right now. We'll see how much longer she tries to push on this set of tires that are, to be fair, nice and warm, because if she can take the alternates late in the running, she won't have to conserve very much. She will stay out an additional time, not spooked by the pit stop from Nicholas Pressey, but she is using everything she's got in the tank. You see the screen dashboard light up green to show that push to pass down the first half of the front straightaway, and she's given it everything that's left in the reserves to cover off that stop from Nicholas Pressey and get her that second position. Meanwhile, Mitch Semedo has picked up a black flag, I believe, on the pit exit. Craig Yore is down on pit lane taking some repairs. So as Semedo does pull down pit lane again, Sean Kirby is given the position, but still has to make a pit stop ultimately, as does George Ward out on the racetrack. They are separated by 3 seconds.
Big Pink by his lonesome in that some lonely competition behind him. So George Ward rolling in 5th as the pit stop cycles through. Tucker Sawyer still leading. He pitted on lap 31, and he should have one more pit stop remaining, as would Christina Ryan, who's now into the pits. Liv, Nick Pressey in 3rd while his rival is in.
Yeah, Nicholas Pressey just rounding turn number 6 here on the second lap on these primary tyres. They're in a decent temperature window right now, but the question is, how clean was that outlap? And he doesn't seem to have used as much push to pass as Christina did there. She's up on the jacks right now, taking what I expect to be a set of alternate tyres to the end of the race. I'm wondering, is this another set of primary she opts for? But she's now rolling out of pit lane. Nicholas Pressey is coming through the front stretch, but here comes Christina Ryan. Right-hand side of the shot, that's Nicholas Pressey. He's going to have the inside line into turn number 1. Can Christina Ryan cover it off? No! The 94 gets the undercut done. And now with the fresher tyres, with the warm tyres, should be able to pull away. And Christina Ryan left wondering what exactly went wrong on those final couple laps. Nicholas Pressy, a 108.4 on that first flying lap on a set of primary tyres. Great work from him there.
10 laps to go. This time by Tucker Sawyer still in full control of this race. 1.4 seconds the gap from Nick Pressy to Chris Ryan, and the chase is on in 10 laps. Liv, Christina Ryan needs to be moving at roughly, let's say, 3 to 4 tenths a lap on Nick Pressy.
And Sean Kirby's hiding behind a barrier here. There's a mistake.
Do you think he wants to come out and say hello? Is he scared?
I mean, let's have a look at what happened to the number 37, because this battle for 5th place has been very sketchy. This is his outlap on a set of primary tyres, so still potentially struggling with tyre wall. Just goes straight on into turn number 9, and I worry that the concern is, as he flit spins it, suddenly sees the traffic coming and wants to wait for the right opportunity. But this, I think, could hand 5th place to George Ward on a silver platter. He's now close to a lap down from Big Pink, as Tucker Sawyer does make that final pit stop. Will roll out of the pit lane, and this is really the last big opportunity for Tucker to throw it away. It's this first lap on the alternate compound tyres.
Let's have a look at Mo Perry. A big incident here on Mo Perry's 39th lap of competition. He spins the race car, headed out of the right-hander here, and it, don't know who that was. It looked like, is that not Pelletier Sharp, but not Eli Sasek. Who is that? Was that Bryce Saucier? That was Bryce Saucier that almost just nails Mo Perry. Now, Mo Perry will have, how many spins is that for Mo Perry? 2 or 3 today, where I think Mo has potentially damaged the race car, but he keeps it in one piece. He's been incredibly lucky, and now Mitch Semedo looks like he might have had an incident at the hairpin, Liv.
We'll have a look. On board the number 6, we'll roll it back just a little bit here.
Oh no, Mitch Semedo, just no incident for Mitch Semedo. He almost just nails the wall there. Watch him just slow the car down to an almost halt out of the hairpin. Realizes he's going to hit the wall, puts the brakes on, and he keeps it out of trouble. Heads up play by Mitch Semedo. Back to the Ryan Pressy battle. There's going to be, what, 7 laps to go when they cross the line this time by, and Nick Pressy has a 3-second gap to Chris Ryan.
Yeah, gained 7/10 that last time by. This time, the gap isn't quite so dramatic, just a 0.3 of a second pulled by the number 94. But that puts him very much out of striking distance from the number 80. The closest battle now is actually a race on pit lane now between George Ward and Bryce Sosa. They're down in 4th and 5th, both taking their final stop on the same lap. And Sean Kirby, about a minute behind, shouldn't be able to get that move done. Bryce Sosa rolls off on a set of alternate compound tyres. George Ward pits from the alternates and will go to another set of the same. And Sosa will lead the duo off pit lane by just a few seconds there.
A lot of drama in this race. Tucker Sawyer just went purple, by the way, so to put salt in the wound of anybody that doesn't want to see Tucker Sawyer win this race, he just put in the fastest lap, and he's putting in frustratingly similar performances to what Max Verstappen did in Formula 1 a year ago. We were talking about this earlier. I have no problem with Max Verstappen winning races. I have a problem with somebody winning every race in the history of creation, and that's what Tucker Sawyer is attempting to do this season, and still moving at the speed of light. Liv, he's got nothing to lose. There's no reason to be moving at such a breakneck speed.
Yeah, and crucially, that fastest lap does earn you a point, so there's a little bit at stake there. We, of course, go back to the opening round season at Sebring, and it was a not quite a clean sweep. Nicholas Pressey stole the fastest lap from him. Barber Motorsports Park, Nicholas Pressey stole the pole position. Curtis Sawyer has the fastest lap, has took the pole position, of course, with that fantastic 107.0, and with 36 laps led, is looking to make it a perfect 55 in this race. Just the second time this season that someone has managed that, after, of course, Edson Santos did it in the opening round. Oh, sorry, the opening oval round at Homestead, Miami.
Laps continue to tick down, and as far as battles on the track, everyone seems to be content to be in their own world. Everyone content to mind their own business in these final laps. If I'm the rest of these drivers, Liv, I don't blame them. What a tiring, difficult racetrack. We've seen this track reach out and grab Tucker Sawyer. We have seen this racetrack ruin some people's afternoons. It is not easy.
Yeah, I mean, I had a race on Monday night where I ran 42 laps here. So I take a good quarter off this race distance, and by the end I was absolutely exhausted. It's so difficult to keep focus for more than an hour, which is what these drivers are challenged with. Tucker Sawyer saw even the best making mistakes, had that spin in the hairpin. He's running it very close to the walls right now, trying to maybe set another fastest lap. Christina Ryan is officially, as we flick onto the alternate version of the tower, she's out. She's not getting any push to pass remaining. And with a 5-second deficit to Nicholas Pressey, that could be that fight finally diffused with 5 laps to go. But it is right now Tucker Sawyer lapping the field up to 3rd place. He's going to come through the final sector, coming to 5 laps to go.
That's unbelievable. He's lapped it to up to 3rd. He's still 32 seconds ahead of Christina Ryan. Christina Ryan also has a 46-second advantage over Bryce Saucier. Chill. Just ride out the rest of the race, knowing that this track has beaten up a lot of competitors tonight. It's her podium to lose. As far as the points are concerned, drivers need to hope that Tucker Sawyer doesn't continue this run. Next week, we are at Sonoma as well. So if it's going to be anything similar to this, you better get ready, because Tucker Sawyer just crushed it in qualifying. He easily gets around what looks like Colin McDonough in one of those Nick Pressey cars. 4 laps to go this time by, and he continues the march towards a championship that may already be written for him after 5 rounds in this championship. Of course, Liv, in racing, anything is absolutely possible. So to assume that Tucker Sawyer is going to win this race would be foolish. And let's look back at Mo Perry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Not just that, but let's not forget Tucker Sawyer. Last time out at Texas had a really rough end to the race. Ended up falling all the way down the order. So not only can that happen in this race potentially, but if he wants to make that championship charge, as we look back at this replay of Mo Perry, he's going to try and get those left turns worked out as well. And number 54, is it going to be turn number 8 once again? This has been the problem corner for so many, but especially number 54. And looks like getting away with it this time. Maybe down to turn number 9, where
it's like the 17th time, Liv, that Mo has
straight on.
Almost crashed and then gotten away with it. He's incredibly lucky today.
Yeah, and also a mistake from Sean Kirby, it looks like. We'll pull that up on the replay machine. Down to turn number 1. Is this going to be too deep on the brakes? And is he going to keep it out of the barrier? Not quite. That is going to be some damage to the front wing end plate. He has Mitch Sumado 14 seconds back right now. He should be able to limp that one home with just half front wing, as long as the wheel is still pointed straight. We'll go back to live pictures here and go on board the gyro cam. And I think he may have gotten away with that one. The wheels does look to be on the straight and narrow, so just a little bit of missing downforce through corners like this, that is going to cause a lot of trouble on the way home for the 37. You have to tiptoe it to the checkered flag.
I'm surprised half the field is still here. It takes so much fortitude. I mean, we can say this until we're blue in the face, but really until you get in the rig, until you race here, it is difficult. Get in your car. If you live in the Los Angeles area, get in your car, drive the Long Beach circuit, and just see for yourself just how bumpy the circuit is. And then imagine doing that at an average of, what, 130 miles an hour? More or less. It's ridiculous what these drivers go through to put a lap here, but they do it. They absolutely do it. 2 laps to go this time by. Looking at Jason Duckworth in the Castrol machine. He's up 4 places from where he started, headed into the hairpin. Currently, Jason sits only 1.25 seconds behind Mitch Semedo. White flag out next time by, Liv, and this 7th place battle looks like it's going to be fun.
Yeah, Jason Duckworth with plenty of pushed pass left in the tank. Mitch Semedo seemingly does not have access to it in this one. He's got a couple of laps left to try and get this move done, but we've seen that Mitch Semedo has been a very wide race car in this race, and so could be difficult, although Duckworth has the raw pace, it seems like. He just can't seem to get close to set the move up and make it stick here, as Tucker Sawyer comes down into turn number 9 and very soon will bring the white flag out on the flag stand here. We will have a look from the roll bar of the number 19. Look on the right hand side of your screen. And Barney the flagman telling the field there is 1 more lap to go in this one.
Just a few more miles remain on the streets of Los Angeles. Christina Ryan in the number 80 machine. Looks like she's also had an incident in the hairpin as well. No harm, no foul there. She just goes a little slow to the hairpin. We're going to be all right. No big deal. It's been another great race here, and the battle doesn't stop. So it's only half a second behind JD. Jason Duckworth, Mitch Semedo, nose to tail. Tucker Sawyer will calmly complete the final half lap of competition. Mitch Semedo goes through, and there's contact. Big Pink George Ward also makes contact, and it just doesn't stop for these drivers. One crash after the other, and they continue to force and battle and fight their way through this race. It has taken so much for drivers to focus and still be around and be competitive. It will be one driver above them all. Tucker Sawyer, who spins out of the final corner. He's not done yet, and quite literally, what difference does it make at this point? He's dominated so much, he can spin out of the final corner and come home a winner at Long Beach. Nick Pressey still threw a few more corners to finish his race, and Christina Ryan 12 seconds behind Nick Pressey. If nothing happens to our 2nd and 3rd place finishers, that's the way it will end. Nick Pressey will cross the line in 2nd. Christina Ryan still to navigate the hairpin. She will come home in 3rd. Tucker Sawyer now making up routes. He's sick of driving the Long Beach racetrack, and on his cool down lap will just drive in the runoff areas and wave hello to all the fans in the sim. Liv, it has been a very tiring race watching all of these drivers crash and bump and spin. Let's go through our final running order and grab our podium.
Tucker Sawyer
go
takes
for it.
the race win, loses it on the initial start, but fights it back and leads the way here at Long Beach. Nicholas Pressey recovers to 2nd place after that pit lane penalty with Christina Ryan, a spin from the lead and repairs, forcing her back into 3rd place. The rest of the field finishing off the lead lap, and Bryce Saucer from 14th on the grid weathers the storm to finish in 4th place, with Big Pink George Ward rounding out your top 5. Sean Kirby outlasts Jason Duckworth, and Mitchell Semedo has that last lap incident. They will finish 6th, 7, and 8, 2 laps down, and then Mo Perry and Colin McDonough, both 7 laps down, finished within about a second of each other there. Craig, you're not his day-to-day finishes 8 laps down in P11, and then Eli Sasek down in P12. Disappointing result from 4th on the grid, and then Carmen Sienna and Lily Pelletier-Sharp, your other retirements from today's race.
Fans at home, we're going to take a breather. We're going to grab our podium. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us. We're going to have Tucker Sawyer, Nick Pressey, and Christina Ryan in just a moment. "55 grueling laps of the Long Beach circuit complete. Rick James and Liv Hayward back with our podium, and starting with our race winner and kind of what we expected from that pole position performance. Tucker, with all the love in the world, you're starting to make these races incredibly boring. What a dominant performance from start to finish.
I don't do it on purpose. I was kind of hoping it'd be a little more exciting, but Christina and Nicholas kind of just ran into some trouble there. It would have been fun if we would have all been up there battling, for sure. But yeah, I kind of just had the perfect strategy and just ran my race about 80% until the end, and then I was like, I'm going to go for fastest lap, and then I almost crashed. But it's part of it.
Twice.
Sometimes.
Twice. we were talking about how the track just reaches out and just almost gets anybody. It got you after that fastest lap. It got you on the last lap as well. But regardless, you spun twice. You still end up winning by well over 20 seconds. And now next week at Sonoma, are we going to expect more of the same?
I mean, I'm going to hope for the same. I mean, I actually did zero practice coming into this. The only practice I got was the 40-minute session. So I'm going to actually put in the work and hopefully do better at Sonoma.
So you're saying it's only going to get worse? For your rivals, not for you. The championship marches on.
No. I don't know. I'm just going to do my race.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens, exactly. That's the great outlook there. Whatever happens, happens, man. So congratulations on that win. Before we say goodnight, any shout out for fans, friends?
Yeah, I'd like to shout out my mom and dad for watching, and then my friends that might be watching. I don't know. And then shout out to Ascent Racing, Eli Sasek, for helping me with this. Yeah, that's about it.
Congratulations on that W. We'll see you in a week's time. Liv, you've got our silver medalist.
Yeah, I've got second and third, starting with... I've pulled the wrong person. See you in a minute. Starting with second place on the racetrack, Nicholas Pressey. A strong qualifying, starting at the front of the field and leading a few laps early, but pit lane just not really your friend in this one. Talk us through the strategy calls and exactly where it went wrong for you there.
Went wrong after the first pit stop. I broke the car in turn 1, coming out of the pits on lap 14, and it just I felt like this one should have been mine. We put a lot of work in, everyone over at MPM and Snarks. We all put a lot of work in for this race, and it's heartbreaking that it didn't go the way I was hoping it to. At that point, the drive-through ended up being more of a footnote than anything. I'm glad I finished second, and I'm hoping that maybe I can flip it around at Sonoma, but this was an important race, and it does suck that we couldn't get it.
Well, of course, you mentioned all the work that went in with the team. You've got to be delighted of Bryce Sosa up 10 spots to finish in 4th place. Talk us through the process of how you're going to move forward as a team towards next week in wine country in Sonoma.
Well, we're gonna work on it. We just have to refocus what we're doing towards next week's race. We did really favorably in the preseason test there, so there's optimism. It's just the mistakes are hurting us. So I gotta find out how to not make them. And yeah, I really am proud of Bryce. He had to start in the back because he forgot that if you tow, you can't qualify anymore. Went on the wrong set of tires, had to tow, and to turn that into the finish that he was able to. I'm immensely proud of him. I am sorry that it didn't work out for Lily today. I know today is her birthday, so I was hoping that she would be able to enjoy something really nice as far as the race. And I know that Colin had a really rough time today, so it's just, well, we'll figure it out. It won't be easy, but we're gonna go back to work on this.
Absolutely. Anyone else, if you want to shout out, of course, just hop in here. But I just want to say, congratulations on the podium. Pass on all of the team, and we'll see you next week out at Sonoma.
Thank you very much. It'll be a pleasure to see you next week as well.
And finally, I accidentally dragged you in a little bit early here, Christina, but
now we've got the right person here, our bronze medalist.
Hello.
Christina Ryan, coming in for our 3rd place interview here. Christina, that whole race was just difficult driving front to back. A couple of spins by absolutely everybody in this race, and you managed to survive for a silver medal. Did you think that was possible when you started the afternoon?
Well, it was a bronze medal, but yeah, I don't know. I really didn't expect to have a whole lot of pace tonight. So to put in a really good lap for qualifying, I tend to have pretty good starts. I was happy to take the lead, but I just did not like the green wall tire. I could not get it to work for me. I couldn't get it to do what I wanted, and I kind of knew I would have a mistake because of that. Not to say it was the tire's fault. I made a driver error, but I knew I would screw up somewhere with all that pressure. Nick and Tucker were just faster, a lot faster. So was happy to get out and lead. After the spin, I was pretty happy to carry on, but they forced me to fix the car. I didn't want to waste the fast repair. So after that, I thought maybe I could get a 3rd, but I didn't expect everybody to make those mistakes in front so aggressively to where it wasn't really a whole lot of pressure for a 3rd at the end. So I would have told you I would have had a long shot to get a podium today. I don't think I would have had a shot to lead. So all in all, I think pretty solid day. But yeah.
Brilliant run, and the championship still stays alive. I mean, we joke a lot, and I try to give Tucker Sawyer some stick about how he's making the races boring, but he really hasn't run away with this championship yet. You came into this round 14 points behind Tucker Sawyer, and really, I think, if anything, you've just proved that you do have a car to compete for race wins. So in a week's time at Sonoma, the goal obviously is to do one better than 3rd. What do you think your chances are going to be?
All right. I think they're all right. The one in Texas really energized me, as it did the last time that I went on a campaign for a championship. I don't know if we're gonna realistically be in the fight, but it's too early to say one way or the other. I think right now I'm not super worried about points. I'm more just worried about going out, having fun, and putting the car where it needs to. We won the test race at Sonoma to start the season, so that was a nice one, but I don't know if we used up all our luck to get that one done. But regardless of if we run well or not, I really like that track, and it's the old stock car layout, which I think is the more fun layout, so I really look forward to it. But besides that, yeah, gotta shout out my drifting skills and rally experience to keep the rear end from getting completely torn up on the spin. And big shout out to everybody who roots for me every week. But and congrats to Tucker and Nick; those two were pretty untouchable today. But yeah, it was a really fun race. I'm exhausted though. That was probably the most exhausting race of the year. So super stoked to walk away with a podium and some laps led.
Brilliant race. We'll see you in a week's time. Anybody watching at home you'd like to say hi to?
Yeah, like I said, the people that shout out to the people that watch me every week. Shout out to everybody that keeps cheering for the 80 car to go fast. I'm glad we were able to deliver last week, and glad we put on a good show tonight and didn't fumble the bag too bad. And we finished about where I thought we could have maximized today. So and shout out to you guys for putting it on, as always. It was very helpful to listen to, actually. There was a point when there was a parking lot in the hairpin, and I told Nick, and we slowed down so we didn't come barreling in there with like 20 to go. So thanks for you guys for doing what you do to keep us informed sometimes, too.
Congratulations on that bronze medal. We'll see you in a week.
Appreciate it.
Liv, I think I've had enough fun for one evening. I don't know how these drivers do it, but I'm tired of watching this race. It's tiring to watch this race, and hopefully next week at Sonoma, with many more runoff areas and so much more room to race, we're going to see less calamity and more drivers keep it on the tarmac.
Yeah, my replay machine working overdrive on that one, keeping track of all the incidents, and at the end of the day, just 3 cars rising to the top, finishing on that lead lap. And it's, as you would expect, the top 3 in the championship. We mentioned that this is a bellwether for the season. It shows who really has that potential to go all the way. And I think the podium we got in this one very much proves that. These are going to be 3 really strong contenders on both the ovals and the road courses. And next time out it is going to be Sonoma.
Until that next race, everybody who tuned in today, yesterday, tomorrow, anybody who has anything to do by patronizing our streams and just coming to have some fun with us, thank you so much. Please stay safe. Do take care of each other, and we will see you all around the corner.